We've just had our daily briefing this morning. At this stage, again, unfortunately, we still can't locate the 45 soldiers that are being held by the Al-Nusra group. Again, negotiators are working hard, trying to re-establish communications with Al-Nusra, who at the moment have not made any contacts with our negotiation team. So they trying their best to re-establish the negotiation with them. But again, we've been assured by negotiators that this is normal under the circumstances, that there are periods within the negotiations where one of the groups will pull out from the negotiation just to regain the initiative. And we've just reached that state of the negotiation where the Al-Nusra had pulled out, and we now don't have any communication with them. But we expect them to come back to the table very soon. Now we've reached the 9th day of the capture of our boys. We're still very concerned, and the government is equally concerned. The PM has directed that we put pressure on the system, and as such, the Ambassador at Large, Major-General Naval Rule, will be traveling to New York on Monday to help put pressure on the UN system. At the same time, we're sending a team to Syria to go and join the negotiators. It's a very senior RFMF team headed by the Commander Land Force, who will be leaving our country Tuesday or Wednesday next week, depending on the approval of the visa, to go into Syria and join the negotiation team. That has been directed by the Honorable Prime Minister, so that we can add some pressure onto the system that is now in place. And that is a big relief for us, and it shows government's commitment to ensure that we get over this impasse quicker than necessary. But until then, we have had no change to our situation. The men on the ground in Syria continue to do the work that they've been sent out to do. Morale remains high, even though the area still is very volatile. In the last couple of days, there have been bombardments in some of the Fiji locations, which has forced some of our troops to withdraw from some locations and redeploy back into those locations on the completion of the bombardments. But we continue to talk to them and reassure them of the nation's commitment and prayers towards the missions that they carry out in Syria. And that remains the priority from the RFMF, is to ensure that despite the difficulties, the 45 and the families that they are going through, we still have a mandate that we have to complete in the UN, and we're very committed to ensuring those mandates. We're working with both the UN headquarters and all the other contingents in Syria in fulfilling the mandate that we've been set out to do. The man remains positive on the ground. Morale is high, and they have continued to make Fiji proud in the volatile area that they work in. Thank you. As you know, Fiji is now a member of the non-aligned movement, which does align ourselves to some Arab countries. There is also our embassy that has been set up in United Arab Emirates, or in Abu Dhabi, which Ambassador Naya is looking after. And those ambassadors have continuously worked hard in the last couple of days, traveling from country to country, seeking their support and seeking whatever pressure that those countries can put to bear on the situation in Syria. both to the Syrian government and also those that may be able to influence some of the rebel groups working within Syria. But I assure you, all the efforts of government and all the efforts of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs have been brought to bear on anyone that we think can put some influence in the situation. However small the influence may be, we feel that the collective influence of all those that can bear some influence will eventually bear some results for us. We've continuously received communication from all sources within the area. Like I said, in the last 12 months while being there, we've established a lot of friends. Not necessarily with rebel groups, but with Syrian people, both in the area of separation and in the area of limitation, which is straightly towards the Syrian border, towards Damascus. And all other sources have reassured us, including Al-Nusra. They have continuously told us that the men are well looked after, and there has been no abuse of any sort on any of them. And that also has been confirmed to us by intelligence sources that are in the area, and they have also been confirmed to us by the Syrian government that they know that our guys are being looked after. And with that, we are truly grateful, and we are thankful that no harm has come to any of them, and we're quite sure that no harm has come to any of them at this stage. Yeah, it's been difficult for the families, as you would understand. All the families have either visited here, or those that haven't visited have called. We've spoken to all those that have come here and offered them counseling help. For those that can't make it here, we've sent teams out. We've reached out to those in Naita Siri, in the Teilevu area. Yesterday we sent a team out to Lotoka, and on Monday we'll be sending a team out to Vunolevu to go and talk to two families that are currently in Vunolevu. There's a family in Kandavu at the moment that we have spoken to, but we have not reached out to. In the first instance, we're calling the Taltala Niwasiwasi Kandavu, who's also done missions with the RFMF overseas, to go and talk to the family and offer some counseling, and if need be, he will contact us for further assessment. But otherwise we've spoken to all the 45 families. How they're coping is different from family to family. The regular forces wives have coped better than the first timers that are going across, which is again understandable. Some of the younger guys are going for the first time, and perhaps those new families are coping it more difficult than the older ones. But otherwise, I think now they fully understand the process and the government support and the people's support of being with them in this difficult time, and they've appreciated it. And I continue to ask the community to help them get over this period. And I'm sure that all communities and all religious groups are doing their bit to ensure the safety or the support that can be given to the families of these 45. And I don't think there's any intention to do so, except for for us to ensure that the pay of the soldiers that go to the families continue to go to the families, and but there is no separate monetary assistance given, except for the moral support assistance that's been given. I don't know, that's probably speculation. Al-Nusra has not made any such remarks, nor any rebel group from Israel has made any such remark. But I must say that all UN missions in any country has a memorandum of agreement with the host country. There are soldiers, whatever they do in those countries, cannot be tried in those countries. They always are tried. They can only be expelled by the country, but it's up to us to try soldiers that that may misbehave in the countries that we work in. In the past, we've tried soldiers in Lebanon for some of the mischiefs they've done in Lebanon. We've put people in jail for 5 years or so. We've held court martials in the mission areas. So we don't believe that any of our guys has breached any Muslim law. Is any Muslim in there? Because they would understand the Sharia law is, I think, applied to Muslims for not following the Quran, rather than just applying them willy-nilly to every Tom, Dick, and Harry. So it's very speculative, and I don't think it carries any merit at all. I don't think
It won't happen.
It can't happen. It can't happen unless, because as I know, the Sharia law is for Muslims. If they breach the Quran or the Muslim laws, but I don't know. You have to be a Muslim to know. But if the Syrian government has a Syrian law, just like Fiji has its own laws. And if anything happens, if somebody threatens to put us under a Syrian court, that may carry some weight. But then again, there is a memorandum of understanding that our people can only be expelled and tried back in their home countries. They can't be tried in the country that they work in. That's always been, that's the first thing you sign when you go and work in other countries, that you don't subject your soldiers to the rules of that country or the laws of that country. There's always a memorandum of understanding with that host country that you send your people back to be tried by your own courts. Not at all, and I don't think that will be forthcoming in the near future as well. I'm confident that that you can't set precedents, especially the UN. But again, I don't want to speculate on what the negotiators can do or can't do. But there won't be any indication at all that we will give in to what the Anusha want. Definitely they can't cross the border into Jordan. They can't cross the border into Israel without any knowledge of those two countries. They can't go further up north because there's a line of Syrian Arab armed forces that will block any movement up north. So the only logical conclusion there is within Syria, but perhaps spread from where we are towards the Jordanian side of the border. But that's the only area. We've drawn a circle around the possible areas that they can be in. It's about a 50-kilometer radius from where we are down to the Jordanian border, which is south of where we are. And that's the only place they can be.